Iren reported earnings, but the stock fell flat. We've got core PPI coming out today. In fact, it's already out. We're going to talk about that first. We're going to look at the 10-year, 3-month spread as well as NAIM exposure, active management exposure. Let's go ahead and get right into this. So initial jobless claims came out today as well. They came in basically in line with expectations, so that's not going to have too much of an impact. The fact that we had the Fed speaking yesterday and core CPI came out yesterday means the PPI probably not going to be as much of a market mover, especially since our year over year for regular PPI is the same as last year, and core PPI actually dropped by 0.1% year over year, despite the month over month being up 0.1% higher than expectations. So this is very much an inline sort of report going on here, even though the month over month is higher, the year over year is the same or lower. So that's really going to be a nothing burger, I think, today. Let's take a look at the 10-year, 3-month yield. It is beginning to accelerate again. As of Wednesday, February 12th, it has moved up from the 5th from 0.1 to 2.27. We don't like that. When this thing gets back up above like 0.42 or into the 0.6 range, that means it's accelerating. So basically, it takes out this high of 0.42, and it does so with an aggressive up move, which right now it's in an aggressive up move, as you can see from the 11th to the 12th there. That's going to be bad for stocks. It's going to be bad for a lot of things, and honestly, recessionary. So pay attention to this thing. It is starting to go back up again, which means our investments may be coming back down again. Also, NAIM exposure, that went up. So I told you this thing would eventually populate, and it did. And we got two reads. It was at 68 on January 29th, and they were negative leveraged bearish, right? As you can see right here with that 200 there for 129. As of last week, because of course we probably conveniently won't get this week's read for another 2 or 3 weeks, who knows. But last week's read, it went right back up to 84, and they were no longer fully bearish here. They were at about half for bearish. Like minus 100 is fully negative. 50 is like half negative, 0 is neutral, plus 50 is starting to get bullish, 100 is fully bullish, 200 is leveraged bullish. So they were leveraged negative active managers, where they were leveraged bearish on 129, and then they have alleviated that pressure, and we still have some room to the upside. We can go up to, again, 99 or even up to a little over 100, meaning they are leveraged, and then before curling back over and heading back down for the 70s, maybe even the 60s again. So we're watching that right now. We are currently on that upswing trend. Okay, let's talk about Iren. Iren had earnings yesterday. They beat earnings by 2,746%. They came out with 8.7 cents of profit, with an expectation of an estimate of 0.003 cents per share profitability, and they ended up with 8.7 cents of profitability per share. And they're a little different from Coinbase. From CleanSpark, because they're not getting this from a hodl. They're getting this from selling their Bitcoin. So they're actually raking in those profits for real. They are realized. They're not hodled, they're realized. And their revenue reported came in plus 2%. And they're down. They're down almost 1% off of that news. Now, that is largely due to the fact that Bitcoin fell yesterday. Not a whole lot, but it fell. And that the CPI came in hot. So the one time I was actually expecting Iren off of good news to do a nice big pop like it almost always does, it doesn't. Of course it doesn't. So I continue to hold. These numbers are great. As soon as we get through some of this murkiness that we've been in, I do expect Iren to be trading back up at 16, potentially going up nearing that $20 mark I've been waiting for since it was down here at $6 in August of last year. So we're still waiting. This is looking like, let me come in here. Let me turn off some indicators here so I can say what this is looking like. Go here, and there. Okay. This is looking like it could end up being a double bottom right there and right there, with a neckline right around here. We get above that, we're going back up to 16, potentially even higher on that. So I am seeing something of a double bottom coming through on this thing. I do like that. Let's take a look at the volume profile, see if there's anything really spooky we should be paying attention to. Let's bring that up. Got my volume profile. Let's see. Not really. No, we came into that strength there. We got above that, and there's not a lot in the way. Let's go to the weekly, see if there's anything showing up there on the weekly. It's probably going to take a second to load, assuming it even shows it to me. No, it's not loading, so it's not going to show me a weekly. That's frustrating. How about a 3-day? Yep, there we go. We got a 3-day. Yeah, not really anything above. So once we're up, above where we currently are, right above that $13.20 range, there's not much in terms of volume above us. We can kind of just move on up without really too much resistance there at that point. The only really resistance we're going to hit, is about that $16 range, which we've hit twice before. We break that, though. We break this resistance over here. We break this resistance on the left here. We're going back up to up to about $20, maybe even going into price discovery, which is going to be up around $27, $28 range on Iren. That would be pretty exciting. I'd be pretty happy to see that. So I continue to hold. It was a great earnings report. They talked about becoming a U.S.-based company in the second half of 2025. They talked about their 2 gigawatt site for AI, potentially going all in on that, and that was great. And they're closing in on a contract for their AI side of the business, so that's pretty great. That's going to be a nice big catalyst for them as well. They're going to do that. They lowered their exahash goals down. I believe it was 51. I believe is what they said. So Iren's looking good. Everything's looking up. I'm pretty happy with Iren right now, despite this poor price action that we saw after that great read. Now let's talk a little bit about MicroStrategy real quick. Got about 4 more minutes before I need to do other things here. Let's turn on this. So MicroStrategy, honestly, MicroStrategy needs to cling to this $300 range. We lose $300. We could see this big gap in the volume profile. We could fall all the way down to 174, and that would be quite catastrophic. Yeah, MicroStrategy is getting pinned here between the 50 and the 100-day moving average. We really need to get above this cluster of moving averages here, which is the 50, the 30, and the 20. We get above those, we're going to be having happy days all the way up to about 388. We'll finally get back up to the top of this range here. But if we lose the 100, we're coming down to the 200 likely, which is going to be all the way down at about 222. We lose that, we're going to come all the way down to the bottom of the volume profile, which is going to be in the 170, 160 range. That sucks. So let's hope that doesn't happen, especially since Bitcoin's getting a lot of bid here. Bitcoin's getting a lot of attention from institutions as well as states and governments. We really need to see Bitcoin rally. We see Bitcoin rally, and MicroStrategy will come roaring back to life. I'll say again, I don't necessarily expect it to take out this high back here unless we see Bitcoin crush to like 200,000 or plus or more. I don't really expect MicroStrategy to get to that high once more, but I am expecting it to come back up at least to the top of the range here, which is going to be around the mid 400s this cycle. It could go higher, but that's what I'm expecting. And if we see a failure in the mid 100s, well, then we'll know that it's going to come back down for the winter, and that's all there is to it. So that's MicroStrategy for the day. Let's look at another one I've talked about recently, ACMR. Notice, let me bring my drawings up. I don't want to hide my drawings. Notice, okay, so it broke my line here, and I said that's when it's going to take off. It took off. I drew another line for entry right here. That was a perfect line for entry right there, and it ran right up to my box. It rejected off my box. ACMR is looking very interesting in that respect. I do like that. I do think it's probably going to bleed off from here, though. Vertiv, yesterday was down 9%. Vertiv is getting interesting. It's getting to an interesting level here for me on Vertiv. I'm really watching. I know I have so many lines. Let me turn those off. Yeah, turn those off. Boop. Hydronics. It is very interesting, but so we're outside of the Watson envelope down here, which generally leads to it coming back up into the envelope. In this case, maybe 114. If it can conquer 114, we do have room up to about 118, potentially even 122 if it gets enough momentum. But the momentum is it's mixed. I would wait. I would wait. Of course, nothing I say is financial advice or a suggestion to buy, sell, or hold any asset whatsoever. You see the BX trender the line is pointing up, but the histogram is red. We have green on yellow on the stochastics, but they are looking like they are going flat or down, and the MACD is pointing down. So I would continue to probably wait on this one for now, but it is getting to interesting levels, because if you have been with us a while, you know I first alerted this stock all the way back like here when it's down in the 80s, and it went as high as 155-ish. Yeah, went as high as 155 there, 156, and is now coming back down to earth. So we may be able to get a chance to pick this thing up on a low price here to swing it back up as the AI chip cycle reignites later in the year with that big CapEx spend that all the big boys are going to be doing. What else do we want to do? Not really anything else I wanted to cover today. That's pretty much it. So anyways, that's all I've got for you today. Please like, comment, subscribe, share this video. Check out the Trade Cave store, link in the description, as well as the channel bio, and have a profitable day.